Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to knit stitches. If you have not learned how to do a cast-on stitch yet, you need to go back and learn how to do a cast-on. I have on my YouTube channel here a video called How to Do a Long Tail Cast-On. That's where you should start. For this video, we're going to show you how to knit stitches once you have a cast-on. So, I'm going to show you two different ways of knitting the stitches. You can knit stitches from your right hand, which is called English style knitting or throwing, and you can also knit stitches from your left hand called Continental style, sometimes called picking. Now, the only difference between the two is extremely subtle, and I hope that you'll get the point of that afterwards. So either way that you decide to hold your yarn, if your right hand or your left hand, is completely up to you. Just because you hold it in your left doesn't mean that you need to be left-handed to hold it there. Personally, I find holding the yarn in your left hand is faster than holding it in your right. And we all want everything to be faster. So, the first thing I'm going to show you is how to tension your yarn. Now, there are many different ways to tension your yarn, and this is the basic way. With your right hand, you'll let the yarn drape over, and then you turn your hand and form a little loop here on your pinky. You flip your hand over and grab the yarn between your index finger and your middle finger. You've now tensioned the yarn and you're ready to knit. You tension your yarn with your left hand, you do the same thing. Over the pinky, turn your hand so you create a little loop there, flip your hand over and grab the yarn between your index finger and your middle finger. And you've now tensioned the yarn to knit with your left hand. First I'm going to show you how to knit with your left hand. Left hand knitting, like I said, is called English knitting or throwing. Let me get my yarn back on there. Basically, there's the same exact thing whether your yarn's coming from the right side or the left side. So first I'm going to show you it coming from the right, English style, throwing. Take your right knitting needle, which is empty, and you're going to work the stitches that are on your left needle and create new ones, and they're going to form onto your right needle. That's the premise here. To take your right needle, you're going to insert it behind the very first loop, the front leg. We call these legs. The very first stitch has like two legs or loops. Sometimes they're called loops, sometimes they're called legs. I like to call them legs. It has a front leg and it has a back leg. The front leg is the leading leg. It's the one in the front. The back leg is the one that's in the back that you really can't see. So you're going to take your knitting needle and you're going to run it behind the front leg. But you're not going to bring it up onto the top of your left needle. You're going to go behind the needle. So you're going to go behind the left leg and underneath the left needle. Then you're going to take your yarn, which requires you basically to let go of your right needle here. Sometimes you can just flop it into your lap, or you can hold it with your left hand. Whatever feels more comfortable to you, it doesn't really matter. You're going to take your right hand yarn and you're going to run it around the back of your right needle. Then you're going to throw it over the needle. You're creating tension here on this thread, and as you have tension on it, you're going to grab hold of your right needle again and pull it back out of that loop behind that leg. And as you do that, you're going to form a new loop onto your right needle. Once you have the loop on there, you can drop that left stitch off the left needle. Again, you're going to take your right needle and it's going to go behind the front leg of the next stitch on your left needle. So it goes behind the leg of the stitch on the left needle, and it travels underneath the left needle. Then your yarn from your right hand is going to go around the back and over the needle. Create your tension and pull your right needle back out, bringing with it a brand new stitch on your right needle. And then that left needle is just going to slide that off. So again, behind the first leg on the left, the yarn comes around and over your tension. Then you're going to pull a loop through and the left stitch comes off. Again, the knitting needle goes behind the leg of the first stitch on the left needle. The yarn goes behind and over. You create tension and you pull a loop through and drop that left stitch off. One more time. Your right needle goes behind the left leg. Your yarn goes around the back and over. You create tension and you pull a loop through. Now that's how to do it English style. In order to knit Continental style, it's almost the same. Watch as I do it. You're going to take your right needle. You're going to insert it behind the first leg. The only difference here is now your yarn is already around the back. It was coming from this side. It's now already positioned around the back. So all you have to do is go over, tension it, and pull it through. Again, with Continental, knitting from the left is you're going to insert your needle behind the leg of the first stitch on your left needle, over, tension, and through. Behind the first leg, over, and through. You can see the path that this yarn is traveling. It's always going over counterclockwise, whether I'm coming from the left side or I'm coming from the right side. The yarn is always traveling the same way over your right hand needle. So this is Continental and this is English. Continental and English. Continental and English. Continental and English. Which way you decide is completely up to you. Personally, like I said, I like to knit Continental style, which means the yarn is coming from the left side. You can choose whichever way you want. It doesn't really matter. Whatever is your own preference. I wouldn't make a complete determination though until you learn how to do the purl stitch. If you knit every stitch too, by the way, you're creating what is called garter stitch. So if you don't know how to purl, all you can knit is this part right here. It looks like vertical ribbing. Once you learn how to do the purl stitch, then you can knit things that look a lot more like this on one side. And, oops, don't mind all this mess back here. This is just a sample. And these little bumpy things on the other side. So that's how to do both a Continental stitch, knit stitch, and an English knit stitch. Thanks.